The news is fake. The fix is in. The votes rigged. The polls skewed. The pundits paid off. Censors reign. The FBI doesn't stop terrorism. It manages terrorism. The CIA doesn't collect intelligence. It psyops it. News bubbleheads babble bull. Hunter's laptop of child rape, like Hillary's, lapsed. Ashley's dad shower diaries disappeared. Ukraine replaced Afghanistan, and Gaza, Ukraine. Cuckold Congress funds FISA and a new FBI HQ, bigger than the Pentagon. Whether it's demonic Dems or rhino rats, the Uniparty always wins. BARDA biomurders voters by the millions. The feds impoverish via inflation. IRS rob via taxes. The cabal repopulates the electorate with illegals. House them, funds them, and pays them, then commands their vote. But bread is not manna, and circuses aren't commitment. Slaves submit, warriors serve, and in the bloody, muddy end, the most committed wins. Rape-born, orphan-adopted, blessed bastard, indigenous initiated, martial arts mastered, PSYOPs and special forces served, decades of duty in DEA and DIA, intelligence inducted, sabotaged and slandered, corruption crucibled, deep state betrayed, Yeshua saved. Whistleblower warrior, rejecting revenge, repurposed in redemption, as chaplain, leader, teacher, and truth teller. Now, America's intelligence officer, following God, leading my family on our long walk to faith and freedom, and rallying all patriots to rescue our republic by restoring a virtuous populace. Welcome. I'm Jeff Prather, and this is the Prather Point. Welcome, everybody. Lots to cover today. Breaking the Iran war racket revealed. And ATF cannot ID the bullet, which affirms the exploding Mike bomb theory. Israel passes discriminatory Palestinian death penalty. USS Ford was hit by an Iran missile, not a laundry fire. And Iran's precision AWACS strike would equal U.S. troops killed in action if troops are deployed on the ground. And finally, drug, oil, and plastic shortages are coming quickly. So a lot to cover today. I'm going to dive right into that. Quite a bit to go over. But remember to go to beready123.com, beready123.com. Not only can you get an Iridium 9555 phone, best comms, because there are false flags coming, as I've been talking about, but you can get a cool EMF beanie, which is the corollary to the tinfoil hat that I used to interview people with all the time when I was a duty agent, and even ballistic backpacks. There's the ballistic plates 2A, and also EMF proof and generators. Be8ready123.com. Use Prather code. Use the promo code Prather for 10% off on that. So going to jump in with the title story here, breaking Iran war racket revealed. This is going to be one of my deep dives, so brace, but you're not going to get this anywhere else. And so remember that Witkoff and Kushner, who are doing supposedly the Iran negotiations through Turkey, and Turkey being also a civilizational nation state, that is an ancient country, just like Iran. Persia is an ancient country. America is not. You know, Persia being around for 2,500 years. These are not government officials. They have no official government function. What are they? They are real estate guys. They are deal makers. And so where is their expertise? That's where their expertise is in that. So that's what I'm going to delve into here, is breaking Iran war real estate racket revealed. But first, there's a breaking announcement that there was an earthquake in Israel. And it was right when there was a scheduled earthquake drill. So they knew it was going to happen. So intelligence information indicates that this is an underground nuclear bomb test in Israel, which may be pushing Trump towards the Samson option if he doesn't continue the war, that Israel would nuke Iran, or Israel would set off small atomic demolition munitions, SATMs, that have been smuggled into the United States. I've talked about that before. That's in my book, Chase, that you can get on Amazon, or you can get original copies from me, where Arab terrorists smuggle a small atomic demolition munition. It used to be a special forces mission. It's backpackable. It is not vestable, like J.D. Vance said. But anyway, that's the breaking news there, that this earthquake drill, which resulted in an immediate earthquake, may have been an underground nuclear test, which is maybe a defiant statement from Israel, pushing Trump to go ahead and put ground troops in there. The other thing to remember, too, also is all intelligence estimates across the board put the April-May timeframe as America and Israel running out of anti-missile, anti-drone munitions. So the Iron Dome is gone. Tel Aviv, Israel is getting hit all the time. All the U.S. radar installations have been hit and wiped out. And that is because China and Russia are supplying Iran with space-based real-time intelligence. So the Starlink instruments that were smuggled into Iran by the CIA and fed through the crowd by Mossad and MI6 to stir up the populace to be the boots on the ground for regime change, so U.S. troops would not have to go in there, failed. Those guys were rounded up. Any fifth column folks like that were jailed or executed. It's not a matter of the IRGCs shooting into the crowds. They've rounded that up, and that covert operation has failed. That's why we were at the point where we are now looking at boots on the ground, to explain that. But to delve into the deeper issue here, and this is on my Patreon at the $15 level. So at the $5 level on patreon.com/Jeffrey Prather, you get curated news stories. JeffreyPrather.locals.com, curated news stories. At the $15 level, you get deep dives, resources like this. At the $25 a month level, you get daily training videos and the opportunity to join and train with me in my handgun martial arts center, or Bujinkan as well. But anyway, the straight theater and coordinated energy realignment. So remember, Smedley Butler, Major General, United States Marine Corps, World War I, two-time Medal of Honor recipient, when you could get the Medal of Honor twice. You can't anymore. Famously said, war is a racket. And all wars are a racket. And the Iran war is no exception. And it's being run, the negotiations, or the lack thereof, are being run by Witkoff and Kushner, who are not government officials. They're real estate guys. So this war is a restructuring exercise carried out under the cover of one. The U.S. has done this before: manufacture or accelerate a crisis, let the disruption clear the board, then move into this to the stable, expensive alternative. Gulf of Tonkin was this, Iraqi WMDs, Ukraine. The pattern isn't new. In fact, it is always consistent. Energy infrastructure was repositioned, trade corridors were reset, proxy liabilities were burned off, market share was redistributed, and the region's financial architecture was quietly re-engineered, while the public drowned in spectacle, bread and circuses. The violence supplied the legal, political, and insurance rationale for outcomes already mapped in filings, planning documents, and funding commitments years before the first missile was launched. They called it a war, but it was a business deal. And that's what I really want to go into. And so this is a deep dive, but stay with me on this. On March 19th, 2026, Iranian missiles were reported to have struck Qatar's LNG infrastructure, liquid natural gas, at Ras Laffan by the following morning. By the following morning, Cheniere Energy had hit a new 52-week high, touching $260.49 intra-trading before closing at $261.30. Venture Global was up 61% for the month. Bank of America, same Epstein bank, raised its target price to $322. Buy notes were circulating before the damage assessments were complete. 3 weeks earlier, on March 2nd, Venture Global and Transfigure executed a binding LNG supply agreement filed directly with the SEC, approximately 0.5 million tons per annum of U.S.-sourced LNG commencing in 2026. European and Asian buyers had already signed forward supply agreements. The gap those contracts were designed to fill opened 17 days later. On March 20th, LNG was up, fertilizer exposure up, chemical names up, U.S. firms absorbing reroute demand was a position being realized, not a reaction to a surprise. Positioning that precision requires knowing the direction. Make no mistake, Washington knew exactly what it was doing. The Biden LNG pause was always temporary scaffolding, a regulatory hold that kept the export queue frozen and the infrastructure buildup of continued underneath it. The moment it became useful, it was lifted. Day one of Trump's second term, the DOE ended the pause and called it returning to regular order. The numbers tell you why. North American LNG export capacity was already on track to nearly triple by 2029, from 11.4 to 28.7 billion cubic feet daily, accordingly for over half of all projected global additions. Meanwhile, Bloomberg ran the headline openly: American LNG billionaires positioned to profit from war with Iran. Venture Global's founders were photographed at Plaquemines under construction in May 2024, months before any escalation. The capital was already on the ground. This is where you hear about all the Kushner build out. While war framing dominated coverage, the Gulf was executing one of the largest coordinated energy expansion cycles in decades, roughly $80 billion in committed capital, publicly filed with phases scheduled years in advance across 5 countries. Qatar alone was targeting an expansion from 77 to 142 million per annum by 2030, with contracts signed and equipment orders years before any of this began. A force majeure event in a zone already mid-transition provides exactly the cover needed to accelerate a phased out, absorb a redevelopment cost via war, and collect insurance on assets already scheduled for retirement. The overlap between reported strike locations and pre-filled redevelopment plan holds across every major site in this conflict cycle. These are not exactly buried footnotes. And this is why you might want to subscribe to my Patreon at this level so you can follow what I'm saying. And I hope I'm being clear. And if I'm not, I'll check the notes on Rumble and X. Saudi Arabia's old airport got struck by Iranian missiles. Saudi Arabia's new airport, the Jeddah Terminal 1, opened 2024, has a floor-to-ceiling coral aquarium in the arrivals hall, cathedral ceilings with Islamic geometric lattice work, which is very common, lit in blue, and a check-in half that looks like a luxury hotel lobby. The country that bought $9 billion in Patriot missiles in January 2026 and $1.75 billion in PAC-3 upgrades before that, whose air defenses apparently couldn't stop Iranian ballistic missiles from hitting its airports, just happened to have a gleaming replacement terminal open and operational that was not hit. UAE, the Jebel Ali industrial zone, sits adjacent to a published master plan for Palm Jebel Ali, 13 square kilometers of luxury waterfront development, twice the size of Palm Jumeirah, adding 110 kilometers of new coastline to Dubai. Kuwait's old airport was struck. The new one cost $4.3 billion, was already under construction and wasn't touched. Funny how that works. The Haifa story is worth slowing down on. The narrative is transparent, and the people paid to repeat it are still working overtime. Bazan, Israel's primary oil refinery, was struck in June 2025, sorry. We haven't had 2026 yet, allegedly killing 3 workers and targeted again in this cycle. What they don't ever mention is that the Israeli government voted in 2022 to relocate it entirely by 2030, citing urban environmental risk. A McKinsey report had already estimated the relocation at $5.2 billion, with explicitly flagging the site's value as prime Haifa waterfront real estate. So this is just like when Bongino came out and said to Patel, wow, you're shutting down the old FBI HQ. It was already scheduled for years to be shut down. It's the exact same spectacle. The Dimona episode follows the same logic. On March 21, 22, Iranian missiles were reportedly striking Dimona. The IAEA immediately confirmed 0 damage to the nuclear site and 0 radiation releases. And remember, I reported on this. It was in the neighborhood. The actual impact zone was a residential block approximately 12 kilometers from the reactor, 12 kilometers away from the reactor. In a neighborhood the Cassiopeia group had already flagged for urban renewal and demolition. A project stalled for years by resident opposition and permit disputes. A declared security incident fast-tracked government funds demolition in ways that routinely plans cannot. So what's the answer? Just blow it up. Blame it on war. Also relevant, Site 512, the U.S. ANTPY-2 radar installation in Negev, directly linked to the THAAD batteries, provides real-time trajectory data on missile launchers. Now, that's likely to been destroyed, and I'm not sure about that. Maybe somebody can verify that for me. But I think most of the radar installations have been destroyed. So therefore, that's why the bases have all been hit, not all wiped out, but Tel Aviv is getting hit heavily, regularly. Iran is in on it too. Iran has spent years repairing ties with Saudi Arabia, keeping channels open with the UAE, positioning Qatar as a mediator. The 2023 Saudi-Iran normalization, brokered through Beijing, was the most significant Iranian diplomatic win in a decade. Reuters reported after strikes on Iran's South Pars and Asila facilities, Tehran issued evacuation warnings to Gulf energy sites before the strikes were reported. Remember this? Warnings before strikes being the behavior of a state managing escalation, calibration, not one trying to permanently sever a relationship, which of course makes sense. They have been neighbors forever. Persia has been around for 2,500 years. Iran has never treated détente as immunity. The logic has always been transactional, pressure without rupture, as long as Gulf states remain commercially useful and are not actively facilitating attacks on Iranian territory. Tehran warned Gulf energy sites before striking them. But you don't warn targets that you're trying to destroy. As for the proxy theater, these groups have outlived their utility and are now a liability. Hezbollah, the Houthis, the Iraqi militia constellation were the single largest structural obstacle to its sanctions and relief and financial integration. Not only in Washington, but in European capitals and Gulf states, Iran has been quietly normalizing relations with, and every international financial institutions that Iran's modernization agenda requires access to. The U.S. has been planning this for a long time, integrating U.S. and Israeli air defense networks, aligning command structures, running live fire drills. February 26, 2026, Cheniere Energy announces 10 billion share buyback authorization, which I'd already mentioned, through 2030. February 26, Venture Global executes 20-year LNG SPA with Hanwha Aerospace, 1.5 million tons per annum to 2030. March 2nd, 2026, Venture Global and Transfigure execute binding LNG supply agreement filed with the SEC commencing 2026. 17 days before Qatar's infrastructure is struck. March 13th, Venture Global raises $8.6 billion. SEC 8K filed. Total CP2 funding $20.7 billion. One of the largest U.S. energy projects financings on record. All covered up by war. March 18th, 2026, Cheniere hits intertrade all-time high of 267.27 as Hormuz closure drives natural gas up 5.59%. March 19th, Iranian missiles reported to strike Ras Laffan LNG complex. Qatar's LNG capacity offline 3 to 5 years to repair. North Field expansion work halted. So the U.S. can charge 20 times the usual amount. March 20th, 2026, Cheniere hits new 52-week high, 261.30. Venture Global up 61%. Again, Bank of America raises prices targets to 322, as I've said already. So nothing here requires much interpretation. It's all right on the record, and what it shows is not a set of isolated events, but the same larger realignment. The plans were in place before the strikes. The financial positioning came. And the only consistent military air presence over those quarters was American. So it also fits a wider move to contain China's regional leverage. A functioning Iraq-Iran corridor would have given Beijing more room to move energy, goods, and capital through partners operating outside U.S.-controlled Gulf routing. That corridor is now set back for years. So that goes along with my assessment that Trump is using this and the cartel wars against China, against China's unrestricted war via his tariff war. But the United States has just manufactured a conflict. I would argue Israel has done that. It has destabilized for decades to permanently damage the only credible competitor to its LNG dominance and to lock in the contracts that will fund the next generation of export terminals. Qatar's 30-year reliability record is gone, at least for a little while, 5 years likely. The states and firms that went looking for a way out of American supply coercion are now left holding disruption notices, suspended deliveries, and contracts that turn to paper the moment the pressure is applied. So the options are narrowed, dependence is built, and then the outcome is presented to the public as an unfortunate crisis nobody could have foreseen. And that is how war is a racket. And I will pause there and check for comments here. Please like, share, and subscribe to me on Rumble and X. And taking a look on X here. Sounds like 9/11 on steroids. Well, that's what Laura Logan is saying, is that's coming. The earthquake, okay. And so Earl Jackson has posted the earthquake information there on X. A lot of that oil and gas production will take a long time to get back online. Yes, that's exactly the point, as most of the damaged infrastructure is built to order, often with long, yes, it's 5 years at least. Yes, that is correct, Earl Jackson. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying by that. And this is nothing new. Every war is a racket. Smedley Butler figured that out. And again, if you want to see these details, just the created news stories, jeffreyprather.locals.com. If you want more details for the special resources, patreon.com/jeffreyprather at the $15 level for this kind of thing. So it is your understanding that they are all in on it, including Iran. Old airports destroyed purposely. Yes. So I've already been asked this question on Patreon. Is Iran in on it? Yes, but they have to be in on it, of course, because Israel attacked them. The United States keeps attacking them. When the United States is having a truce or a treaty, Israel attacks. So there's no choice for them to be in. And I'm not trying to say that they're innocent. Iran has sponsored state terrorism. I'm not saying that at all, but they are reactive to be in on this as well, because they understand what's going on as well. But yeah, so, there's no white hat, black hat in any of this. This is how I'm trying to give you an understanding of what's really happening in the world, in the gray world. But yes, Iran is, by necessity and reaction, in on it. Are they in on it as much as everybody else? Unlikely, because they don't have to be. Why? Because of the Strait of Hormuz, of what they can control there. So that's a good question, though. Give me some of that, along with a bill to the taxpayers. Yes, exactly. And it's all going to be billed as an unfortunate war. But if you want to know why are we in this war, from the Israeli point of view, because Netanyahu and the Likud party running everything, this is Greater Israel. This is the expansion. They're taking over Gaza. They're taking over Lebanon. But from the Trump's billionaire oligarch buddies, this is a great deal. And that's why you see Witkoff and Kushner, who is a total Israeli Zionist, Jewish Zionist, Greater Israel, running this. So I don't see any more questions on that. But if you have them, please ask. But that's a good question that I've seen come up. So the other thing to bring up is the bombshell defense file, and the ATF cannot identify the bullet in the Charlie Kirk assassination with the accused rifle. A court filing by Tyler Robinson's defense attorney on Friday reveals the ATF has not been able to identify the bullet recovering. So this is, and remember, I was the DEA special agent liaison to ATF Tucson. Fast and Furious started at DEA inside an ATF group. So I'm, very familiar with this. I did a lot of whistleblowing along with heroic ATF whistleblowers, Vince Shafalu, John Dotson, way back in the day. But they can't match the bullet, probably because they don't have the bullet. That's unclear, and you can't really believe what is being told. And what may be fragments is most likely the exploding microphone. So it appears that the exploding microphone has really become the most likely scenario of what happened. And the subcarotid artery was hit by fragments of that. That's with all the black plastic pieces that everybody keeps talking about this. But the defense team may now offer up the ATF firearm analyst's own testimony as exculpatory evidence, they said on Friday. Also notes that the DNA reports filed by the Federal Bureau of Investigation will take time because there are several different DNA found on the evidence. And that is typical, actually. I remember going to hundreds of grand juries, and the grand juries are watching CSI, and they're asking me if I tested the dope bundles, marijuana bundles for DNA. No. Why? Because not only did the guys carry them, get them, but then they were carried out, back to the truck by the Border Patrol, and then other Border Patrol guys put them into evidence, and DNA gets backed up. I mean, murder DNA is backed up usually for a year. But, watching TV, watching too much CSI, people don't understand that. But this really begins to show, again, just confirming that the government's cover story is ridiculous. It doesn't work at all. And all major crises, whether it's the Oklahoma City bombing, 9/11, Ruby Ridge, Waco, were government run and driven. Then they try and throw into the story here a text confession between Robinson and his tranny lover. And it just reads like a script. I don't believe it for a minute. Roommate, how long have you been planning this? Robinson, a bit over a week. So I've talked about also having done lots of planning for an operation like this, for that kind of shot, be a tier 1 level sniper operation, and it wouldn't be planned in a week, and certainly not by tranny furries doing this. This is simply the cover story, which is completely falling apart. Let me see the comments here on X. FBI should, but yeah, the FBI should not be involved the first place, but they're involved so they can cover everything up. Earl Jackson, 30-06 would have taken his head off. Yeah, that's old news by now. Everybody completely understands that. There's been countless YouTube video experts showing 30-06 wouldn't work. Their incompetence makes them, their corruption makes them incompetent. If you're going to run undercover operations, if you're going to run agent rescue operations, whatever it is, it's an art form. You have to develop it. Senior agents, GS-13s, groom and mentor younger agents. They don't do that anymore. They just make stuff up. They do entrapment and they make up these stories. So they are not very sophisticated in what they're doing. So their corruption makes them incompetent. Yeah, that is exactly what is happening there. Lewis, my thought went to the refinery fire in Texas. The shutdown of the refineries in California also lead to an increase in LNG prices. Do you think there could be a link there? Yes, that's a great point. Lewis, that's a great point. That was exactly at the same time frame, just to make sure across the board the LNG prices are going up. Beyond coincidence there. I think that's very true. Very good. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a really good point. Ropo, why wasn't there more blood? If we are going with the most likely scenario, which was the exploding microphone, which is likely of Israeli origin, along with the pagers and the cell phones, it's internal because it's already touching him, and a piece of the shrapnel of that was exposed to explode into the heart, but a piece of the shrapnel went to subcarotid artery out. As far as why there's less blood, as a DEA firearms instructor since 1994, I've had to look at a lot of actual shooting tapes. And the human body reacts in a million different ways. And it depends upon the person, it depends upon the clothing, the temperature, the atmosphere. I remember debating with Dr. Merritt about Ashley Babbitt. She was saying, oh, a little blood coming out of the mouth. I've never seen that. I've seen all kinds of stuff. I've seen bullets do all kinds of weird stuff. There's just so many factors that you can't really determine why there wasn't more blood. So, Ropo, I hope that answers your question there. Good dialogue today. There's a story going around that Sheriff Nate Brooksby resigned last when the Robinson ballistics non-match came out. That's not quite accurate because the sheriff was not the one who arranged the surrender of Tyler Robinson. A retired deputy sheriff detective who was close to the Robinson family was asked to arrange it, and he arranged it. The sheriff, this is a false story that's being circulated. The sheriff was disagreeing internally with something, probably the cover story, and he has resigned after 30 years, and they're not going to pursue it anymore. This is the Washington County Sheriff's Office. Washington County Attorney's Office Commission had received complaints from several individuals regarding the Sheriff's Office operations. And of course, after 30 years, all of a sudden the timing is very suspect, but it's not because he was corrupt in arranging the surrender. He didn't do that. That was a retired deputy sheriff detective that was contacted by the family that did that is unnamed. Sounds like he does not want to be a part of this, and they let him resign, or they said, hey, resign or else. But again, the cover story keeps falling apart. So I hope that makes sense and is correcting false information to everybody as well. As you can see, I'm doing a lot better. Thank you for all your prayers and concerns and all of your formulas and suggestions. And I'm doing many of them. And I'm coming right along. So next I wanted to get to, Israel is passing a discriminatory death penalty against convicted Palestinian terrorists. And this law that they've just passed for Palestinians convicted of deadly attacks in military courts does not apply to all Palestinians in jail. The law approved by the Knesset on March 30th makes death by hanging the default sentence for West Bank Palestinians found guilty of lethal attacks deemed acts of terrorism, though it includes a provision for life imprisonment in special circumstances. And this law is totally discriminatory. It only applies really to Palestinians. It could, in theory, apply to Israeli citizens, particularly settlers, but that precedent is never happening in Israel, and everybody knows that. And even worse, the legislatures passing this are wearing little noose pins. I'm wearing my old SOCOM Trojan horse pin here. They're actually wearing noose pins. Now think about that in America, noose pins, what that would be like. And they are proudly wearing those. One of the legislatures was crying openly, tears of joy that they're going to be able to hang Palestinians. This includes women and children as well. Anybody convicted of this. So the death penalty by a simple majority of judges with no right to clemency must occur within 90 to 100 days of sentence. Not 20 years like in America, 90 to 100 days. It's not retroactive, so it doesn't apply to the October 7th, 2023 attacks. It was championed by the National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir. He's the one wearing the news pin and handing them out. The Association for Civil Rights in Israel has filed a petition to annul the law. And that's important that we must note that there is a large contingent in Israel. It's becoming more vocal right now because they're always in the bomb shelters. They're getting hit all the time. Israel is deeply in trouble in this war and not winning. And there are protests against the Likud government and Netanyahu, who I still assess is dead or in coma. All the appearances have been debunked as AI, or the latest one, a mask, by the way. I'm just not spending a lot more time on that right now. The international backlash, Germany, France, Italy, and the UK, warning it undermines the democratic process. Israel has only carried out 2 executions in history. So again, this is the killing off of a people for a blood debt. And if you are a Christian, as I am, you simply cannot go along with this. So if you are an American Christian Protestant evangelical Zionist, you're not really a Christian because you are not following Christ. You're following Torah, where the Jews have misinterpreted Palestinians as the Amalek, as to be wiped out. And of course, you're quoting Old Testament. That's what the Zionists always do. They always skip over Jesus and the New Testament. But this is very much showing how heartless this attitude is towards Palestinians in Israel. Earl Jackson says the Israelis are doing what they blame the Nazis of doing. That's exactly right. And that's exactly what happens. You know, what happens when a child is abused? What do they grow up and do? It's an intergenerational curse. Sins of the father are visited on the children, and they do the same thing. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're doing the same thing. You get Sue Ski Girl. Good to hear you, sir. Thanks for sharing. You do sound back to normal. Well, I'm not totally back to normal. I'm still on some meds, but I did teach martial arts class last night, and I am doing a lot better. And I thank you all so much for all your prayers. Anyway, the Association for Civil Rights in Israel has already petitioned the country's Supreme Court against the law. It's unconstitutional. It's discriminatory by design, designed against West Bank Palestinians, enacted without legal authority. So we'll see what the Supreme Court says about this. But make no mistake, there is a growing opposition in Israel to the Likud policies, to the Greater Israel policies, just as in America, there is a growing opposition to American Christian Protestant evangelical Zionism, especially among the younger generation. It's also worth noting, and I will get to, that the Catholic Church is surging because it is anti-Zionist and because of the wild stuff that you see these Protestant churches doing. This Paula White, spiritual advisor to Trump, knocking people down. As I've said many times, with Yeshua, they rose up. They didn't knock them down. These people are doing exactly the opposite of what Yeshua did. But moving on, this is a breaking intelligence analysis that I have waited on, but the carrier, the Gerald Ford, was hit by a low-yield missile. Trump inadvertently announced this, saying it was 1 a.m. in the morning. They were hit at 17 different ways. One of them got through. So it wasn't just a laundry fire. So I've been aware of this intelligence for some time, but waiting till I got more confirmation from multiple sources. And so there's video sources, there's photographic sources, there's multiple country sources, China, Russia, Iran. I now assess with high probability the accuracy of this intelligence information. If true, this strike is a strategic sea change in modern warfare doctrine and a new aspect in asymmetrical war. The age of naval power projection of power via carriers appears to have ended. And so all doctrine is written around this. This is how you project power. But of course, the carriers have had to move off. And so this Iran war is changing the face of war even more so than the Ukraine-Russia war has. The impact targeted the critical aft section of the angled flight deck, the area specifically dedicated to aircraft recovery operation. This zone houses the advanced arresting gear, AAG system, designed to safely halt incoming planes with electromagnetic cables. That strike has effectively neutralized the carrier's ability to recover and launch aircraft. And that's the whole point of an aircraft carrier. So what that means is this was a precision strike. And again, the Iranian missiles we keep finding out, have more and more capability than the intelligence thought. Just like the intelligence, Mossad, MI6, CIA. Yeah, the people will rise up, give them the Starlink. That didn't happen. The regime didn't happen. So no boots on the ground indigenously. So now we got to talk about Marines and airborne boots on the ground, which would be a disaster because they've got everybody zeroed in. But this precision strike of taking out this shows, I believe, with high probability that Russia and China space-based intelligence satellite real-time systems are feeding to the IRGC systems because this wasn't a random strike. This was a precision strike. And so the asymmetry of the warfare isn't just attrition by Iran, by an ancient civilizational nation state, Persia, but it is augmented via proxy by satellite real-time space-based precision intelligence. So that really is a strategic sea change. Not only is it the carriers are not the answer anymore for projecting sea power, but if a superpower that has space force capabilities aligns with you, that changes everything as well. So a lot of new doctrine, a lot of new strategies were going to have to be reviewed here. But this was no laundry fire. The damage profile matches a high explosive warhead impact on a vital operational zone. Military experts note that the rear recovery section was perfectly planned location for Iranian forces to hit. So this is very, very significant. And I hope you understand the importance of that. You're not hearing this in the regular fake news at all. Absorb that. Also, Iran hit Teva Pharmaceutical, the single largest generic drug manufacturer on Earth. And so when Teva Pharmaceutical goes offline, generic modifications to every major country on Earth are going to be in shortage. They produce treatments for cancer, cardiovascular disease, respiratory conditions, neurological disorders. Hospitals in the US, Europe, Asia depend on supply chain, Teva supply chain. There is no substitute manufacturer at this scale. Generic drug shortages were already at critical levels. Teva factory burns, production stops. Drug shortages within weeks in hospitals worldwide. Prices for generic medications surge. So stock up on your drugs. Now, I'm not going to put up my Jace banner because it doesn't work anymore. But when the emails go out for the show, there'll be a Jace link. And you can click on that Jace link for a discount for prescription drugs. So click on that Jace link email when this goes out for the show. But patients in developing countries where generics are the only option lose access entirely. So Iran bombed the factory that keeps the hospitals running. So this is a major strategic resource that is going to go short very soon. Also, along with the oil shortages. And it's not just going to be the price of gasoline and diesel for your tractor, plastics, nylons, all plastic wrapped food, all of that is going to be a shortage as well. And again, this is by design. This is Iran waging economic warfare and waiting for Trump to blink. So that's very significant. We'll develop a countermeasure that will certainly be stolen by the Chinese. The precision of the attack on the carrier sounds similar to how precise Ukraine attacks on Russians suddenly became. Well, I'm going to talk even more about that here. And that's what I want to cover next. What the Trump administration isn't telling you about Iran, the AWACS was a precision strike as well. So, of course, by now you've heard that Iran hit a U.S. AWAC plane. An AWAC plane is a mobile communications platform tracking all kinds of aircraft. But they didn't just hit the plane. They targeted the exact spot, the AF lower lobe, where the crucial ANAY-2 radar array sits. This radar makes the AWACS a multi-billion-dollar irreplaceable asset. By hitting that exact spot, they didn't just damage a plane. They took that entire critical piece of command and control technology out of the war forever. So how did Iran's intelligence know exactly where to strike to neutralize the aircraft? How did they successfully defeat the advanced U.S. defense systems at Air Sultan Air Base? This suggests massive intelligence sharing from Russia or China. That's exactly what it is, space-based intelligence. The axis of power is aligned against us. They are demonstrating precise, devastating capability. So this, again, 2 precision strikes, one with the aircraft carrier, waterborne, one airborne with the AWACS, is shifting, again, the strategic sea change balance of the war in asymmetrical warfare. And the United States is certainly not prepared for this. and Israel is certainly not prepared for this. Trump keeps listening to bad, fake Israeli intelligence rather than American intelligence because he's listening to Netanyahu. And Israel is really in trouble. Israel is beginning to fall, in my estimation. I'll be talking about that in future shows. Earl Jackson, Air Force EA-37B Compass call seen in UK today on its way to the type's first ever combat deployment. 2 EA-37Bs arrived and will support Operation Epic Fury. Well, we'll know what we will know what will happen to them as well. So to be very, very clear, Iran is winning at tremendous cost, but they planned on that. But the United States is losing, and Israel is in serious trouble. And Israel, at the end of this, this starts to look like Scripture coming to in Revelation, where the whole world is against Israel, and Israel is destroyed. And for you, Zionists who think you got to build the third temple, you need to read your Scripture, because the New Jerusalem comes down from heaven, because the old Jerusalem is a smoking ruin. That's Scripture. That's not Torah. It's Old Testament. That is Revelation. But switching to the propaganda front, Josh Hammer has called Tucker Carlson a useful idiot. Sebastian Gorka questioned Tucker's patriotism. Dennis Prager lectured America about our values while implying that Tucker abandoned them. The entire Salem media ecosystem spent months framing Tucker Carlson as compromised by foreign influence, which is really funny because every one of them broadcast on Salem Media Group, and Salem Media Group's chief strategy officer is a guy named Brad Pascale. And Brad Pascale is a registered principal of Clock Tower 10 LLC, or X LLC. And Clock Tower X LLC is a federally registered foreign agent for, wait for it, the state of Israel. So the people calling Tucker a foreign agent are actually the foreign agents for the state of Israel. And of course, the American-Israeli PAC Association, which doesn't raise a lot of money on its own, but has 80 to 90 congressmen and senators in there. And then there are other super PACs that actually do raise the money, and they have dual citizenship, of course, are really foreign agents. You cannot have two masters, to quote Yeshua. Either you will love one and hate the other, or hate the other and love or love the other and hate that one. But Hammer, Gorka, Prager, Laura Trump, Larry Elder, Hugh Hewitt, Brandon Tatum, and Todd Starnes broadcast daily on a network whose CSO is literally registered with the DOJ as a foreign agent to Israel. The exception to that is Dinesh D'Souza. Knew him a long time ago. We lived in the same little adjoining Arizona towns. DOJ went after him, got him. DOJ went after me, didn't get me. But he is, while he's on this list, he is no longer associated with that. So just wanted to put that out there. The hypocrisy is stunning. And I hope you will like, share, and subscribe and get this out there so people are understanding really what's happening and going on. Also very important, this Holy Week, to acknowledge, what is happening today. So Palm Sunday was yesterday, and this is actually, the dates actually line up exactly correctly this year with the dates when this stuff happened in 33 AD in Yeshua's time. So Palm Sunday is when Yeshua told the disciples, go get the colt, go get the donkey, I'm going to ride in. The people were holding palm branches to represent a king, but he wasn't riding a horse, a war horse. He was riding a donkey, coming humbly in. And then let me see if I can read this here. No, can't read that. But today is actually the day when Yeshua there's a lot happening in Holy Week. Of course, there's going to be Pesach, Passover, or Pascha, which is poorly translated in the King James Bible as Easter, which is Estre, which is a pagan fertility festival. That's the rabbits and the eggs later on. But Passover happens Thursday evening, I believe, which is the Last Supper. But today is the day where Yeshua goes to the temple and throws the moneylenders out, overturns the tables, and also is when he tells the story of the vineyard, the one I'm quoting all the time, which is Matthew 21:33, which is when you kill the son, the owner of the vineyard, you are no longer the chosen people. This is actually the day when that happened. So I encourage you to join me this Sunday at christchaplaincy.com, 9 a.m. Arizona time, live. I will be giving the service and the sermon. I'll be talking all about Holy Week, all about the Passion, the Crucifixion, the Resurrection, the Shroud of Turin, the cosmic evidence that he did rise, and to pray, especially this week, because every day this week, very important things are happening. Jesus is going to betray him later on in the week. He's going to have Passover. He's going to lift up the Afikomen, the Eucharist. All of that is happening this week. And if you are a Christian, you may want to look at our chaplaincy, christchaplaincy.com, the Christ Connection Chaplaincy, where we emulate the life of Christ and become the prayer, because that is truly the real answer. It's also important to note that Israel destroyed the mausoleum of Simon Peter, Kepa, the rock, the apostle of Christ, in the village of Shammah in southern Lebanon, which has been there for almost 2,000 years. Israeli forces destroyed the shrine of Shimon, locally called the Shrine Mausoleum of St. Peter in Shammah, southern Lebanon, November 15, 2024, during a ground invasion. Lebanese sources rigged it with explosives. Now, the biblical Apostle Peter's tomb is in Rome at St. Peter's Basilica. I've been to that as well. But they destroyed the tomb of the first apostle on Palm Sunday weekend, 2,000 years of history gone. This is a religious war for sure. And again, when I had on Nathan Glover, the operations strategist for Team America, which is my volunteer organization, which you can join at jeffreyprather.com, which is just Americans relying on God and each other and not corrupt government in D.C., like we stopped relying on corrupt government in Britain. Nathan was saying how this is an eschatological war. This is a religious war. So that's a belief system. The facts don't matter. This is the greater Israel belief system that Israel as a nation state deserves all the land promised in the Torah, in the Hebrew Bible. And that is how Netanyahu is operating, and Trump is running. Trump is being run by Netanyahu. So that's what I wanted to cover today. I have a note from a near peer. Again, I get lots of emails from a lot of people, but the near peers are especially helpful because, I worked with them. They have an inside understanding as I do. And he says, look at Google Earth for Karg Island. It just converted from normal Google Earth definition to very high definition. So somebody zeroed in on it. Herat International Airport in Afghanistan also just converted to high definition as well. The area of Tehran did not convert to high definition. So what's that mean? Not going into Tehran, going into Karg. The most direct route to Tehran starts in Herat. It starts in Herat. And that is the international airport in Afghanistan. It's minimal cross-compartment, cross-mountain route. And the U.S. is already pre-positioning AC-130s in Afghanistan, allegedly to refight the Taliban. And so the implication here is that there will be AC-130 gunships coming in from Afghanistan to support the ground troops, although I don't see how they're going to survive as well. But that also there was 500 Kurdish troops that again were taken through ISR, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, space-based intelligence, either from Russia or China, that were coming down to fight, that were wiped out. So that is very significant as well. SP Goldie, Passover starts sundown tomorrow, Wednesday. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Thanks. Because Passover, Pesach is 2 days. Yes. Why is this different? This night different than all the others? But of course, for Christians, the Last Supper is the Passover, and when Yeshua rises and is resurrected, that is the angel of death passing over humanity, which happened with Adam. Interestingly enough, if you use the Haggadah, the handbook for the Seder, the order of Pesach, of Passover, which I have done and led many times, the Rabbi Gamaliel actually is the defender of Paul, and a lot of people think that he was a closet Christian, because he was saying if this Christian stuff is from God, it will flourish. If it's not, it will die off, all like before. So a lot to think about there. Lewis, Herat is closest large Afghan city to Iran. Exactly. That's the whole point of my near peer, is it looks like they're going to sneak aircraft in that way. Although, again, I don't see how they don't get destroyed as well. You got to have air dominance. We do not have air dominance. We've got the exact opposite at this point. Give me some of that. Tinker Air Force Base, AWACS destroyed an Iran strike on Saudi Arabia. Yes, referencing what I was just talking about. Very good, confirming my intelligence assessment there. So remember, I'm always giving you intelligence assessments. This is not a news show. I'm not trying to do breaking news. I'm trying to tell you the truth, because the ruthless truth, because the government is not going to do that. So in summary, we've gone over how the Iran war real estate racket has been revealed. The ATF cannot ID the KIRK bullet, which affirms the Mike bomb theory, which again points back to Israel. Israel passes a discriminatory Palestinian death penalty. The SS Ford was hit by an Iran missile, not a laundry fire, and it was a precision strike, meaning that they are having space-based ISR, intelligence surveillance reports, reconnaissance from Russia and China, who have Space Force satellite-based intelligence system. And Iran's precision AWACS strike, same thing. It hit the AWACS unit exactly. That's an even smaller target than the aircraft carrier. So that confirms the ability of precision strikes. And meanwhile, April and May is the projected run out time for Israeli and American missiles. So that means likely, if there's going to be troop deployments, which will be disastrous, and I'm totally against that, it would be before that time. And finally, drug, oil, and plastics shortages are coming quick because of the Israeli Tiva hit, and also because of all the oil hit here as well. So that is the Prather point for today. I don't see any more questions there, so I will wrap up. So remember, a secret told isn't. No communications are secure. All security is breachable. All codes are hackable. Concealment is not cover. All cover is temporary. All codes are breakable. Use a one-time pad one time, and there's one in the jeffreyprather.com shop. Looking is not seeing. Hearing is not listening. Moving is not action. Knowledge is not wisdom. Perseverance beats talent. Power is not force. Hope is not a plan. Plans are useless. Planning is invaluable. Develop the situation before it develops you. Training is essential. The most committed wins. Freedom is never given. It is earned, fought for, won, and taken. So, take it.